Okay, by now you should have looked at the CSS classes and code that I included in this template. The first thing and the most important thing I'm going to talk about is the sidebars and the blocks. So let me show you the background what I've done. I went and created a couple of custom blocks. Well, didn't create them, just put some information in them. So there's a title, there's a content, there's a second title, and the second content. Alright, so I'm going to simulate, and I'll show you in a second how I did it. I'm going to simulate that this sidebar, this banners are on the left side. And if it was on the left side, by default it was going to show above the page content. But I'm going to make it so that they're going to be shown below the page content. Now, the way I'm going to demonstrate it, because this is a right sidebar, and by default everything is going to fall below the page content anyways, is that in the desktop view the banners are going to show up, which is the default demo site that comes with Quickie site. So on the desktop the banners are going to be shown, and in the responsive view the banners are not going to be shown, and instead at the bottom I'm going to have the custom block showing up. So if I resize this, and right now we don't have the custom block showing up at the bottom, so if I resize this to tablet or even phone, if you go at the bottom, the custom blocks are showing up and not the banners. Okay, and if I go to the desktop view, the blocks disappear, and we're gonna have the default sidebar, the banners. Now, the only reason I did it because I'm too lazy to create a new template with the left sidebar to do the same thing, but someone with your brains, I'm sure you picked up why I did it. And now I'm going to show you how I did it. So basically, I got the entire sidebar, the entire div, and made a copy of it below the page content. And by simply doing media queries, adding classes to them, I can control that the left sidebar is going to be displayed below the page content and not above it. So if you do this, you can revive the left sidebar. I mean, when was the last time any one of us created a template with a left sidebar? Not at least for a year and a half. Alright, so let me jump into the template. So I've got a copy of the old template. So basically I've got this part and made a copy of it and put it just before the last div, before the art footer comes here. Okay, you have to put it between the last two divs, not after the last div. And of course I changed the labels, the constants, to page block 01 and 02 and 03 and 04. Alright, if this was a template with a left sidebar, of course the entire div section over here, the sidebar, would have been above the page contents. But I don't have to explain those things to you. Alright, so let me show you the actual. Made a copy of it in a text file. So this is the page content. This is the This is the class. So this is the div for the sidebar. So this is the entire div that I made a copy of it, and I made a copy just before the last div, as I showed you before. So inside the div statement of the sidebar, for the first one I put no tablet and no phone. So it's only going to be displayed in the desktop view. And I did the opposite thing for the second, the copy of the sidebar, the second instance of it. Of course, in this example, I changed it to page block 1 and page block 2. If this was, and 3 and 4, of course, if this was a real uh, website with a left sidebar, I was gonna keep the exact same labels, constants, for both of them. Now the real difference is the class that I put on the second uh, sidebar. All I have to do is put no desktop. So these two don't show up in the desktop, but show up in the responsive views, and this one, the first sidebar, doesn't show up, only it shows up only in the desktop views. Simple. Alright, so that's one. The second thing that I want you to notice before I start making recommendations, what changes you need to make in CookerSite to automate things, to make things better. Because we can explain things to the majority of them. We can show them videos how to do it. Nobody's gonna do it. Maybe Alex or one of the other two, David maybe, but the rest of them, they're not gonna bother. Not because they don't want to, but they're not gonna understand what's going on. Remember when we start first using Artisteer, you created a nice 10-minute video how to create them, and you and I were the only ones who actually were making handmade templates from Artisteer. The rest of them, they were using our templates that we were making for them, and they actually started creating their own templates when you automate the process, where you would convert the Artisteer templates to CookerSite templates. Alright, so I'm going to show you a second thing about the sidebars, and this is how Artisteer does it for WordPress themes. So in the first sidebar, I'm going to put here no desktop as well. Look what happens. Ah, what did I do wrong? Missed the S. Alright, don't make me look like an idiot again. There you go. Alright, so not only now the sidebars are not showing in the desktop view, but we reclaimed the entire page. We don't have a blank space for the sidebar. So instead of creating a secondary template to be used by any page by selecting that template that doesn't have a sidebar, we can do this with a class of the node desktop. And now this will be very helpful for the home page, let's say, where you don't want to have the sidebar, you don't want it to look like a regular page, and you want to put a large banner or large text. You can have a different layout per se that's more fitting for a home page. Now, in order for us to achieve all that automatically, I will suggest the following things. Give me a second. Let me put it back. Okay, so we can also put the classes, no desktop, no tablet, no phone, on each individual uh, block or banner. So in order for us to do that and automate the process, I will suggest that for each page, first of all, down here to have a check mark somewhere that is going to say full width. So if the person checks the full width, then the quicker site is going to put the no desktop, no phone, and no tablet class into the sidebar, just like I did manually. So basically you need to have a system constant. You can have check marks, and according to that check mark, the class is going to be generated automatically into the template. That can be done with constants very easily. As far as the blocks go, to control the blocks in a similar way, you have to do it with the banners as well, since you have banners. We're still using banners, but I don't know why would anyone use banners when you have default blocks. But you need to have, let's say, check marks over here next to it or on this side, which is going to have 3 check marks: no desktop, no tablet, no phone. And again, these are going to translate into some sort of a built-in constant that's going to go into the template, that it's going to input there, enter there the appropriate classes. So that's for a suggestion for the custom blocks and sidebars. Another thing that that I want to recommend is this is not a big deal, but automatically in the style sheet classes in an image, when you input it for quicker set, if it's possible, this is possible in WordPress, because tiny MC gives you the ability to programmatically put a default value in there, and WordPress has documentation how to do it, and I do it. So every time I put a picture in there, it puts the art lightbox. I don't know if for quicker site it's going to better if there is a class, and I'm sure there is, to put the color box as opposed to the art box, because if you put the color box, it's going to work not only for the Artisteer made templates, but also the JS templates. And I don't know about the color box, but Artisteer, it's got a very the art lightbox class, which I'm sure it's got some sort of a JavaScript written behind it. It's got a very nice thing where when it's in the lightbox in a page, automatically it combines all the images together. So if I had many images, it would automatically put an arrow back and forth, just like the gallery, without creating a gallery. Automatically would group them together. That would be nice. Alright. That much for the art lightbox. Okay, shadows. You've seen the classes that I put in this template about the shadows, so automatically every image gets a nice shadow, brings that 3D effect, makes it jump out of the page, looks good. Some people might not like it, they don't have to use it, but if it's on, I've got the class to get rid of the shadow as well. So in this case, again, there's the shadow. on the car, I'm gonna, to get rid of the automatic shadow, I'm gonna go here and add simply no shadow. Excuse me. Alright, if I preview the page, the shadow is gone just for this image, while the rest of them have shadows. And another class that I put in there, and oh, how to automate the shadows. The way I'm gonna suggest is have those classes in your um, style, in your CSS file, and then in the setup file, probably somewhere here, have a check box that says add shadows automatically to each image or something to that effect, and with that you can implement the shadows into the CSS. In my case, so they can decide whether they want automatic shadows or not. Otherwise, if they don't want to do it manually, they have to go inside and delete the image part, the first part of the style sheet, which automatically adds the images. I'm trying to find it right now. I think this is the file. Yeah. So this is the part that they're gonna need to get rid of. But and they can. I've got the class for the shadow. So if shadows are not being added automatically, they can go on any div or any image and add the shadow to it. And if the shadows are on, they can manually, just the way I did it, add get rid of the shadows. But with that checkbox in the general setup screen, they will have the option of turning it on automatically or off. Then the last thing I created are the different classes for shadows. Sorry, for rounded corners, used primarily for images. So let's test it really quickly. So this is a square image. I'm going to put the shadow on because I love the shadows, and we're going to put a rounded corner around it, and it's actually very simple, looks nice in most cases. So again, you can have, in the general setup page, you can have check marks to automatically decide for each images to have 10 degree or 10% rounded corner, or 20, 30, so all images are going to be rounded. I don't necessarily like that idea, because if you have a slideshow and you don't want to have automatic corners, rounded corners, then that could be a problem a little bit. But that's another issue that, if you're interested in those things, we can figure out a solution for that problem. So I'm gonna go into the image really quickly, and I'm gonna get rid of the no shadow. I want the shadow back in, and I'm gonna say rounded. Let's make it extreme so we can see. And there it is. Okay, there's a shadow and there's a rounded corner. I actually prefer it personally if it's more subtle than that. So something like 10 or 15 will do the trick for me most of the times. It adds that little bit of a edge, a little bit of polish on your website. The picture stands out a little bit. It looks nice. Alright, so now the last thing I'm going to show you about this image, which is something we talked about, you know, about the classes, the media query classes. I've got no tablet, no phone class on the image, so it shouldn't be a mystery to you by now that on the desktop the image is going to be there. But once I go into the tablet mode, the picture disappear and we have the blocks, not the banners, and it's not going to show up in the phone either. Now, it's not a big deal, and I don't think if it's not that easy. In WordPress it was quite easy, but while entering a new picture, I have 3 check marks that says desktop, phone, and tablet, where the image is going to be displayed or not. And if they miss that, they can always go back and put the image in there. Put the class in the image in there. So that much for the rounded corners as well. And shadows. Sorry, I'm trying to read some of my notes. And I guess that's it. I don't have anything else. The most important thing are the sidebars. So once again, let me really quickly say my suggestion to have in the on a page edit, to have a checkbox to hide the sidebar or not, so you can have a full width sidebar instead of activating a new template, having to create a new template and all that. Because if you have 2, 3, 4 templates working on a certain design for a certain website, and you decide to change anything for it, whether it's fonts, whether it's colors, or anything else, you have to generate those templates 3, 4 times over again. Like, this is a time saver for the future changes that you want to make, especially small changes and constant changes that you're going to make to the template. Alright, so that's it. I'll tomorrow I have other things. Today I went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. I've got a total of 18 things to begin with. So I'll talk to you tomorrow.